All right. We are recording. So, Luke was just at the 2024 Deka World Championships this past weekend, along with a bunch of the athletes that we train. So, I just wanted to get on here since I wasn't able to make it this year because of work and ask him some questions about what it was so everyone can hear how it went. So,
Yeah.
first off, hold on. Overall, how was it compared to the year prior?
It was good. I mean, the venue, it was awesome. They had a big drop down in the center of the area with screens on each side, and they had, the different names listed for the age groups and different categories and stuff, so you could see your name up there. And then they had a big screen on the far end that showed the results and a bunch of just information and stuff. So it was pretty engaging that way. It seemed smaller. The venue seemed much smaller compared to Dallas, I believe it was last year. So with the crowds on each side of the competitors, it seemed like it was packed in a little bit more and just not as much space. And honestly, I think overall there were less people. I don't know that for sure, but it just seemed like that, or at least it was that way on Sunday. I don't know what Saturday or Friday were like because I wasn't there for them, but the venue was cool. There were a couple vendors. First Form was there with supplements and stuff. The recovery area was great, and they have that most of the fit events, I believe, during the year as well. But that's definitely beneficial. And yeah, so it was pretty good setup. Just seemed a little bit smaller and maybe less people overall.
I'm sure we could look at the results list from last year and this year and see what the numbers were like from one year to the next. But okay. And then how did the venue go as far as like the flow of everything?
I think it went pretty well. I mean, they had a good sized warm up area with all the equipment you would need. All the stuff used during the event was back there for you to warm up with. And everything was easy to get to. And again, the setup was pretty good before each of the elite waves. And I don't know about before every single wave, but at least before the elite, Dave would come over and give a briefing, say what the expectations are, what's going to happen if you don't do them. And he was very clear cut about it. You didn't have any question about what's going to happen. You do it or you get no rep. If you don't listen to your judge, you're kicked out. I was like, okay, great. That's how it should be. So yeah, the flow was pretty good. Everything ran on time. I don't know about awards because I didn't get any, but I know the starting of each of the heats was on time. And I saw on Friday and Saturday, again, I wasn't there those days, but the coverage from the OCR report was pretty solid. Like it was good quality. It wasn't fuzzy like it has been in the past. And they did pretty well switching from camera to camera and stuff like that. So the coverage and the live video was, I think, better than it has been in the past. So I think they've definitely improved with that. And again, like I said, they had that big screen on one end of the venue so that when the live stream was going, if you weren't able to see from the sideline very clearly, you could just look up at that screen and see, kind of like a football stadium. So
I saw that screen in the background of one of the live videos that we posted, and it looked cool. So that's a great idea at an event like that because things get packed on the sidelines. It's hard to see things. So having a big screen like that, like imagine, I mean, it'll never happen, but imagine if they had the championship in like the Dallas Cowboys Stadium because they have like I don't even know how big it is. It's over 100-foot screen up there. Hanging from the ceiling on facing both ways at me. Anyway, that's cool. It's a good idea to have that screen like that. I wonder if it just happened to be a part of the venue or if they chose the venue partly because of that. How did things go with like officiating and rules and placements and everything? Did everything fall in line pretty well?
I think so. I mean, it seemed just by watching different heats, the form on everything was pretty good. It wasn't perfect for everybody, and sure there were some judges who were just letting athletes do the wrong form, specifically on the burpees and the lunges, because those are of course the big issue areas. But overall, I would say it was a massive improvement. Massive. People were standing up much taller on the lunges, and the burpees were much further extended up. You know, a huge improvement compared to last year. And there were definitely some no reps. And if people weren't doing it right, again, not all the time, but it's never going to be all the time ever. But there were definitely judges telling people, giving no reps and telling people like, extend your hips up or extend your arms up and stuff like that. So, and Dave was there for I think just about every single heat, going through and calling people out himself and or talking to the judges and being like, hey, you got to, you know, tell them whatever it was, stand up taller or whatever. So it was much better. So yeah, that was very encouraging to see. I think Deka is going to be in a little bit of a rebuild phase. You know, it seems like they lost some credibility with how things were operating previously, and now they're going to have to earn back the trust of a lot of athletes. But I think this was definitely a step in the right direction compared to how it has been. And if they continue to improve like this, and over the next couple of years, I think they'll be able to build the competitive aspect of it up a lot higher versus just having participants.
Yeah, hopefully they will follow through on paying money on time, and that with much more strict, much more official rule enforcement would go a super long way for them, especially for the competitive athletes, which everyone there was. Not everyone was competing for money, but everyone was there competitively because they worked for it all year and earned it. So,
yeah,
how was
definitely an issue with on I don't know about all the days, so I'm not going to speak on any specifics, but there's definitely a t-shirt shortage, and people were told they were going to get mailed them. There was a medal shortage. Again, I can't remember exactly what days. I got my medal, I got my t-shirt, but I know a lot of people did not. I think it was more so for the fit, but I could be wrong about that. And then there were also issues with not having the plaques for the podium, which you know, for podium awards, the triangles, they ran out of those too, or they didn't have the little plates on them. So it's like, you know, they know today how many categories will be next year because you just have the categories, right? You have the age groups, you have the genders, you have co-ed, you know, so you could order them today, put them in warehouse, and have them ready for next year's Worlds. I understand it's a little bit different for t-shirts and medals. I mean, you could get the medals set up today and just have it, you know, order a bunch of them. Maybe you might need to order some extra closer to the day of, but the reason it's irritating is because this has been an issue for Spartan for a very long time. And it's like, how many times are you going to have issues with your medals and your shirts and your awards before you realize, like, maybe we should take a different approach and make sure that this is not an issue?
So you mentioned like they should know the number of podium plaques they should need, and they should, because they know how many categories they have, and there's only so many that can be given to each category. So the math is very simple on that. But then, like you said, it's also that way for for medals and t-shirts, because if you know how many people you're going to have race in each category, then you know exactly how many people will be there to compete. Obviously, attendance, like just people viewing, but they're not getting t-shirts and medals. So really, they should know very close to how many they're right now for next year. As long as they have those categories set up right now, they should know exactly how many they're getting and just order a little bit extra than that. And you know what you do then? If you end up with some extra, you give them to spectators, and they advertise like the t-shirts, not the medals, but you give the t-shirts to spectators, and they can be a walking billboard for your company instead of shortchanging people on the spot who paid and participated.
Yeah, I mean, they were told they were going to get mailed them, but still, that's taking away from the experience. You want to walk out the doors with a t-shirt and a medal because that's half the fun. But also, I mean, most of the heats weren't full. You had 15 athletes who could qualify for each category heat or whatever.
Mhm.
Most of them weren't full, so you could just order 15 of each thing. Well, it's not that simple, but either way, there are ways to figure that
The,
out and make sure that it's not
the
an
math
issue.
is simple.
So that's just one
Yeah.
of those annoying things that Spartan has had issues with for as long as I can remember. And they still aren't, you know, really improving on that, even for a world championship event. And that's just something that you should be able to figure out pretty quickly. So, but besides that, I mean, that's the only real issue I saw. I didn't hear about anything else that was too crazy. Maybe some issues with the teams as far as allowing teams to compete who hadn't qualified together. I'm not going to name any names, but there were definitely 2 instances where I know that people competed as a team, even though they hadn't qualified or even participated prior to Worlds as a team. So they were able to compete. And one of those teams specifically got on an elite podium. I think either second or third place, maybe first. I don't know. They got on an elite
I believe
podium.
both of those teams did. The 2 that I know of both did.
Yeah, so I mean that shouldn't be. You either qualify or you didn't. If you didn't qualify, you can't race. Like,
Well, so I think I texted you about it when I saw one of the posts about it. But last year when you were sick and you couldn't do the mile, I think, or I don't remember. I think it was the mile with Tara. I was like, well, I mean, I'll do it if she wants to like get another race in, and we'll see how it happens. But we had never raced that year, so we went and asked if that would be okay, and they said no, because you never raced together during the year, and you have to have done that to be able to do it here as a substitute. So it's interesting that it was allowed this year. Like if they changed their policy, that's fine, but they would need to have said that in advance or said that in the rule book or something like that. Maybe that exists. I don't know, and they're just not talking about it. But
yeah, I
I
mean,
just I
consistency
don't.
is extremely important for people to trust. Again, it's about building up that trust so that people know what to expect and they can actually feel good about putting in the work to perform well at this. If they don't trust the sport that they're going to uphold the standards that they put forth, then nobody's going to want to put in the work to do well at it because it's not legit. It's just not a legitimate thing to work towards. So they're kind of hurting themselves there. But I mean, at the end of the day, High Rocks has its issues with judging and stuff like that. It's also the amount of effort you put in to fix those issues. And if you come out very quickly and say, hey, we acknowledge that this happened and that it was an issue, and now we're going to do these steps going forward in order to try and prevent that from happening again. That's all you can do. So hopefully Deka keeps working in that direction. But I mean, so you're never going to have a perfect weekend. CrossFit has its issues at the games. You know, if you go on social media afterwards, oh, this person wasn't locking out and yet they were able to do blah, blah, blah. And they ended up winning. So there's always going to be issues like that. But you always have to be working to improve on those. So it's important to talk about them. But again, overall, I think it was a very good experience. The people there definitely make it. That's the most important thing, is the people in the community and how awesome it is. Everybody was yelling to support each other and right there on the sidelines encouraging each other. And that's definitely what the highlight was for me, was being around so many awesome people and just having such a good community.
That's awesome. Yeah, I remember it was fun last year being around everyone competing there and seeing everyone that we race with, especially in the North Carolina region, because there's so many of us from different gyms who compete and see each other a lot, and then seeing everyone at the championship and watching everyone compete and cheering them on, even though so we had a bunch of athletes there competing on 6, right? Or 7,
something like
I keep forgetting. But anyway, not even our athletes, seeing all the other people that we know, and just because everyone cheers each other on. That's the cool part about it. And I think also importantly is, as far as I know, all of our athletes had a good time. And like things don't always go your way, especially at a big race. But I think they all either did really well and enjoyed their time or learned valuable lessons, and even if they didn't quite hit the time they wanted. So
Yeah, definitely a healthy mix of both of those things. A lot of success, but I mean, that's just how it is. Like, you learn from it. It's not always just about fitness. It's about being able to mentally focus while there's 8 people on each side of you. You know, if you see a couple people ahead of you, it's going to get into your head and you might go too fast and then burn out, or it's just very overwhelming. Like, the teams was absolute chaos, but not in a bad way. It was just, instead you had 20 or 25 or however many people in a very close proximity going all out high intense, which again, not a bad thing. It was awesome and it was super fast and everything, but that can easily just get very overwhelming. So it's not just the physical aspect when you're at Worlds, it's also just a huge part mental and being able to really focus under that pressure. Even if you don't have like a lot of pressure, it's not like you're trying to win a world title. It's, you've spent all year putting in work and you set expectations for yourself and you just want to do well. And then if you don't, of course, you're not going to feel good about it. So that pressure right there, just for personal goals, can definitely overwhelm you as well.
I told one athlete, I was like, because the week leading up to it, or the few weeks, 3 weeks leading up to it, the last 2 weeks prior to the week of the race were just miserable training sessions. And I was like, you have to get through these 2 weeks, give them all you got. The week of the race, it's going to be very, very light work. You're going to have 4 or 5 days prior to recover, and then you're going to have race day. And on race day, the only thing you need to think about is the 30 whatever minutes you're going to be out there for the Deka Fit. Like, nothing else. You don't have to worry about if you're strong enough, fast enough, anything else. We put in all the work. You work super hard. And now all you have to do is keep your mind in the race while the race lasts. And that's it. So, but that's super hard to do. Like, to stay focused, to not allow distractions, to not allow like anxiety or stress or like seeing a racer get ahead of you, or especially early on, and then like going too hard and ruining your race. So, yeah.
Yep. You only get one chance. It's just that one race once a year. So that's what adds the pressure too. If you mess up, you know, it's not happening again until next year at the very earliest. So, but so in my personal races, I did the elite individual. I ended up getting 10th place out of technically 13 people. So that's not really the result I was hoping for. It's definitely on the back end there. But I mean, I learned a valuable lesson from that. And it's very simple, that my cardio is just not where it needs to be. I'm plenty strong for all this stuff, and I've got good functional movement, but I just, I pushed about as hard as I could. I could have gone faster on, like, I'm capable of going faster on some of them, so I didn't necessarily perform as well as I think I'm capable of. But even if I did, it might have been one placement better. So it wasn't, I was just about as maxed out as I could be. So I really just need to improve my cardio. I learned a valuable lesson from there. And then for the elite teams, we were 9 seconds away from second place and also third place, because they were like a 10th of a second there.
Yeah.
And it was from second place to sixth place was 10 seconds. So you had all those teams finish within 10 seconds of each other. And I mean, I thought we were in fourth. And while I was doing the last 10 burpees, because I finished them, I heard somebody nearby. I thought it was the people right next to me. Apparently it wasn't, but I heard somebody nearby say 19 on their burpee. And then I did 19 like a second later. And then I heard 20, and I did 20. So I was like, did we just lose the podium because of that? No, we lost fourth place because of that. But I mean, that just shows how close.
1 or 2 more seconds, and you're all the way down to 5 then.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, it was super fun. I think as a team, we did great. Everything went smoothly. Like our transitions were good. We had a really good strategy. Of course, you can always look back and be like, oh, I could have made up 9 seconds if I went a little bit faster here, there, whatever. But I mean, that's how it's going to be when you finish that close. But again, that's what made it so much fun. And it's just also good to know that like we're right there, 10 seconds away from second place is right there. So we'll definitely be able to come back next year and do a lot better.
Yeah, it's just crazy to think that that short amount of time. So 6 seconds would have got you like third.
No, second and third were the exact same time essentially. So it was still
Okay.
8 or 9 seconds to get there.
Okay. But that's like you could spread that out as 1 second per zone, or it's like the farmer's carry. If you just move a little faster over 5 laps, you can make up 2 or 3 seconds. And it's just crazy. Like the air bike, 1 second off of that. Normally someone would be happy with like I mean, what time did you do on the air bike? Because I tried counting on the live stream and my count was off.
It was a little bit slower than I've done. So I did it in 22 seconds, which normally if I like do it pretty perfectly, then it's 18 seconds in a team event. But I was also about 4 seconds faster on the rower. So I actually kind of broke even there. My row was a little bit.
I know, it's just crazy. Like if you'd hit that time on the air bike and then like a few more seconds on a sit up or on the carry or anything. It's just crazy how few seconds it is.
If I look back at it, I could have maybe gone faster on the tank. Everything else was about maxed out for me personally. So maybe, I mean, I don't know if I could have made up 9 seconds, but maybe like 5 seconds. But it's just such a fine balance because if you just push a little too hard, then you're screwed.
Yep. Especially early and middle of the race.
Yep. So, I mean, either way, can't be upset about it. Just motivated to do better. That's all.
All right. So to wrap it up, scale from 1 to 10, how would you rank it? Just the experience and your day that you were at the event.
I would say a 7.5 because they could have done a much better job making it an experience. So even the High Rocks in Dallas that I did, which is just a regular High Rocks race, was a bigger experience than Deka World Championships, which is their world championship. So like just walking up to the building, for example, which by the way, the signage sucked. I drove around for like 30 minutes. Anybody who was there knows there was like, it's a massive area with tons and tons of buildings all over the place. And I heard that they would have to pay for putting up more signs and they didn't do that. So there was one sign and it said Spartan Deka and it had an arrow going one way. And you just had to drive and hope you found it, essentially. And it was a little bit of a drive from that sign. So I drove around quite a bit looking for it. And then when you actually get there, there was just like a little banner above the door.
I saw a video of the entrance.
Right. So, I mean, that's weak. Like at a world championship event, you should have, again, I'm going to use High Rocks because it's the same type of sport. They had the walkway lined with the Elite 15 athletes, big like columns of them with their pictures. You don't have to go that extreme for Deka, but I mean, have something like maybe the walkway have Deka, just something other than like this little banner above the door. That right there, the presentation of it is not world championship. That's just like, here it is, but so that type of thing. The experience was not world championship level. It ran smoothly. Everything was fun. The events were fun. The course was set up well for the strong. So yeah, overall, like a good rating, but they could definitely do better without breaking the budget because I know that's an issue.
Yeah. Yeah. Even something as simple as using the same type of like tape that they used to mark courses on Spartan Race, just have Deka ones that lead up to the door and like one big sign, like something as simple as that would direct traffic so much better. And then just put a big banner up over the door.
Right.
I mean, we've done research on buying some of those in the past, and they're not that expensive. So
Deka's a massive company. They should be able to do that. Again, comparing it to High Rocks, their world championship in France, I think it was in Nice. I mean, the venue, I can't even imagine the amount of money they put into that, but also the effort, the attention to detail, so that when you walk in there, everything was thought about, every little detail.
yeah,
And that makes a big difference. That right there keeps people coming back, which continues to generate revenue. So Deca's definitely lacking in that, but overall, good experience.
yeah. The experience matters a lot, though. I mean, if ever they can, they need to make it a better experience because it'll keep people coming because they're going to go and talk about it to their friends too. Like I still remember my favorite OCR experience is still the OCR World Championship in 2017 because when we got there, it was in this awesome little village. They gave you like the lanyard with the little thing on it that had your name on it and everything, and your shirts and a package and everything, and like it was so official and felt so cool. And that was early days for OCR World Championship. So yeah, the experience is a lot of a championship. So.
Yeah, I mean,
All
elite
right.
qualifiers should have some sort of like lanyard or something like that just to say you're an elite qualifier. Like maybe it's naive to feel special because of something like that, but it does. For me, it makes a difference. You hand me something
Yeah.
like that, I'm gonna be like, this is pretty cool.
Yeah, it is. And I think that's most people. So those little things make a difference. Presentation matters and the experience is important. Any other takeaways?
No, I just nope, just ready to put in work for next year.
Yep. And I plan on being there next year. I want to see how that goes. That'd be
Cool.
fun.
Yep.
And then we'll see, I guess we'll find out if Deka Atlas is in it next year, but that's neither here nor there.
I sure hope
Well,
they make that something separate, but yeah, we'll see.
yeah. All right, cool. That's it for now. We've gone a little while, so thanks for watching, everyone. Hopefully, if you went to the race, hopefully you had a great time and didn't see. Hopefully, you had a great time. We'll just leave it at that.
Yep, that's right. All right, guys, we'll talk to you later.
Bye.